I told you we weren't done with this one, and we are not. It's looking disgustingly fun though. Let me bring you up for a little close-up here. So right in here, this is the wild, crazy. You see these little lumps that you see on them? These little lumps are glass beads. So we're talking a ton of texture. Look how wild this is. And it's heavily layered. So this thing here has a whole bunch, and like, sorry guys, up close here, stupidly wild, chaotic paint. That's the dream. Bring you all the way back here, and then about here we start to see the flowers. So what I want to get to though, is that at this point here, I want you to really clearly see the flowers. At the moment, you can make the vase out, the ground and the back wall and things. I want you to be able to see clearly distinct flowers. So that's what we're doing today. A little bit more of that and see where it takes us. It's going to be a little bit of fun. I'll try and put you guys back down where I found you though, which is right about there, probably a wee bit closer. There we go. That's where I found you? That's where I found you. All right, who have we got in here already? Marty, Jose, and Taylor. Welcome, guys. 35 of us. Hey, Ray. Yeah, I'm with you, Ray. I'm absolutely in love with this piece. I was just giving you the up close on it. We're going to make those flowers a little more clear. I don't know yet. We've got tons of plates to work with. I don't know yet whether we're going to start with blacks and whites and do it through contrast, or if we're going to continue down the pilgrimage that we're currently on using colour. It's hard to tell. And hello, New Zealand Ash. How we doing? Yeah, I left my run a little bit late today, so we're in pants because it's getting a little bit colder. It's in that part of the evening. I need the stool. Incoming. Here we go. That's what I'm after. Bear with me while I just figure out what colour we're going to use first. Alright. We have our taco. Great place to start. Hello, guys. Jeepers, who have we got in here now? Stephen, welcome on in. Hip and JRM. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Welcome on in, team. I'm going to put this over here. So that way, while we're not painting, you can still sort of see it. While we figure out what colours to attack it with. What colours to attack it with. Here's our first little bit. And then, ooh, Napthol Crimson. Now we're gonna go for a bit of Joanne Brilliant. Joanne. And then I'm gonna dabble on a little bit of Red Medium, which in this colour's case, it's just, it's a little bit less saturated because I've got the Candium free one, which means no heavy metals. Basically means if I'm breathing it in, I'm not dying, which I think we'd all view that as a premise for any paint, but in this case, it's weird. It's weird that in the 21st century, we would have to choose paint on the ones that wouldn't kill you. Like, surely we shouldn't be allowed to sell really dangerous, scary paints, but hey, frankly, apparently not. Apparently not. Alright. There we go. Let's get a bit of this in here. No. Max, that is a great point. I agree with that wholeheartedly. A lot of the time, artists are out there using paints not realizing how dangerous they are, especially early in their careers. And if you use dangerous paints, dangerously early in your career, what happens later in the piece? You've actually ruined your mental health. And I say mental health because you literally melt your frontal lobe, and then your art never actually gets the chance to go to the stars because you weren't there to help it. You melted your brain. So ideally don't do that. That'd be cool. But if you do want to work with dangerous things, and some people do, just do it in a safe environment. Do it outside. Do it with a mask on. Do it with proper ventilation. A window in a room or a cracked door doesn't count as ventilation. That counts as melting your brain. You do that to yourself? Please don't. It's not gonna fit. It's not gonna fit, but don't worry. I have a solution. He's got a solution to the problem that he's facing. That much of it sticking out. This brush is just a little bit thin to fit in my weird tool, so chuck that in there, sling that in there, and watch this. Pow! We're good to go. Fantastico. Now, we need to figure out how to paint this. Woohoo! And hey Jay, how are we doing? It does extend about a foot, but actually we only really want it on about half that. 6 inches is perfect. We've got the handle piece here, which is about 12, that which adds about 6, and the brush itself, which is another 6. So we're working with about a 24-inch paintbrush here, but the reason why this is better than a regular paintbrush is you get the grip. The grip allows you to hold it. All right. Now, colours, colours, colours. It sounds like blasphemy, but I would like some medium yellow, but I'm not going to get it. I've only got yellow deep. Yellow deep. Oh. We'll go for a bit and come out later. Happy days. Here we go. All right. We have our work. I wonder if I want to put a little stool there. Put that there. Maybe I do. Maybe I do. I like the plates. And the plates are great fun. The only problem with the plate is if you fill it with medium, you can sort it out by folding that over just like this. A little taco, but that flat folded up stops the liquid from running away. In this case here, while we're working with the big brush, we're going to put it here down beside me, and I'll dip and run. And that is a great question. Who's that there? Willow. Willow. I have someone. Actually, Marty, I'm currently completely sold out, but I shouldn't wave this. That's rude. There are originals coming onto the website soon enough. So there's a couple of landscapes, and I've been looking at a few older pieces, thinking about bringing them back into the light. But it's just a challenge. It's a challenge because you get attached and you want to keep these things inside your home and embellishing your space. Like this one here, once we've completed this, it's likely it'll go up as an original that goes available, but it's such a beautiful one, like I was saying yesterday, for a child to see. And I've got a child on the way, and this is the kind of painting that I actually want it to see. Right, enough yakking, let's get started. A little bit of that. Let's just start dealing up a few little droplets. It's actually anything. It's a little bit too saturated. I might tone that back a little bit. Let's actually fold this into a burrito, guys. Keep thinking I'm going to work from the tabletop, but I never do. Marty, haven't chosen yet. And Philip, you like it? That's fantastic. Who's saying that? Leslie, Leslie, you're lovely. And I'm sorry. No. Here we go. Alright. Let's get this in here. Ooh. Oh my god. What a beautiful, beautiful colour. I picked the worst time of day to come out. This is, it's been so hot. It's been so hot and beautiful all throughout the afternoon. And now that we're in the midday, it's quite out here. It's cold. It's very cold. So anyway, we'll make it work though. Right. And this puts a bit more weight at the end of the brush. That weight allows you to play just a little bit more. Yeah. Beautiful. We'll dabble from this into a bit of that beautiful, beautiful saturation with that yellow. Just a lot of yellow, team. A lot of yellow. Got my taco here. Burrito, technically. That's all right. There we go. That's what we need. Come through there. Give it to me. Cheers, Philip. Marty, the answer's no. The answer is no. What? That's what we need. It's like one of those giant pens you used to have in primary school. One of those giant wooden ones. Have you ever used one? I used to love those things. Massive pens. Very impractical to write with, but in this case here, that weight allows me to control the strokes less from the wrist and more from the entire arm, which allows them to actually center in on the canvas more. Girl, great question. Seb Gower is having a gorgeous baby girl. Speaking of Seb Gower, wild question, team. For the lovely 56 people who are here, I hope we've got some regulars, but I've been thinking about swapping the art name. At the moment it's Seb Gower Art, but a few people are having trouble hearing and pronouncing it. I know it sounds strange, but I'm thinking about changing it to Sebastian Art. Does anyone have a big red flag as to why not to do that? And if you do, please tell me why. But it's not going to happen straight away, but we are looking. Sebastian Art. Because a lot of people ask the question, you know, is it Seb, Steve, Sid, what is it? And it makes it very hard for people to actually Google it, because you end up putting the wrong name, etc. And some people think Seb Gower is all one word. But you guys can tell me what you think. And if you're listening to the replay of this and you're watching it late, then you can also hit me up in the DMs and tell me what you think. Sounds too similar? Ooh, a little bumblebee on my neck. Little buddy. He's okay, I just flicked him off. I just wonder if I've got any... bring any water out with me. If he hangs around here, I'm gonna hold my feet in the same spot for maybe another 2 minutes. If he hangs out in the grass, I'll dash off. I'll grab him some water, a little bit of sugar in it, because that's how you kickstart honeybees. But we'll see. So bear with me. But I'm not going to let him sit there and die if it's just exhaustion. No, he's away. He's away. He's got the gas. Good on you, mate. Gotta respect honeybees. Day in, day out to make honey, and those honeybees don't even get the honey. They give it to the queen and give it to the larvae. They just make it. It's a blue collar working bee right there. Good little fella. Respect that bee. Hallelujah, I reckon. And Josh, I'm glad you like this one. I'm glad you like this one. This is a, I was gonna give it a bit of a, do I say condescending name? I don't want to say condescending name, but it kind of is. I want to call this one All Artists Paint Flowers, or All Artists Paint Sunflowers. Just because this actually technically isn't an original idea. What we're capturing here is my way of doing sunflowers, and I guess you could argue why. It's more of an egotistical pursuit as an artist to be like, everyone else has done sunflowers, it's my turn to do sunflowers. And I can't really deny that's not why I'm not here doing sunflowers right now. So that's definitely an element. Is it the element? Or is it because the heroes of art that I've marveled at and watched over the last however many years all did sunflowers, and so I want to connect with those heroes? Possibly. Is it because a deep down insecure part of me feels like every real artist paints sunflowers and therefore I must paint sunflowers? Am I that insecure that I think I have to do that? That's also a good question. Or is it the fact that sunflowers are just inherently beautiful and you don't need a reason as such to pursue them, but just the nature of painting them is enough in itself and can be beautiful in and of itself? And are we supposed to even know? Or am I supposed to just paint the sunflowers and shut up? These are the questions, team. Ooh, wild, and with the feedback. Let me read this. How about a fantastical name? It's easy to remember. Something like, I don't know. I've always felt like having the actual name there is a pretty fun aspect. I don't know. I feel like you could whittle yourself down to a brand name and things, but you miss out on... There's an individual element to art that makes it separate from a lot of brand. I think, yes, with music and art, you build a brand, but no, I don't think you adhere to the same rules of a brand. I think you're different, separate in a certain way. I think, like a musician, you don't pay for music, but you pay for the individuality that may come from it. I don't know. I need to meditate on this, guys. I'm waffling. You're in my virtual think tank right now, and I just don't know what I make of these sort of things. I spend a little bit of time thinking about brand, but most of the time I'm contemplating how can I be as real as possible for as long as possible to as many people as possible. That's where most of my thought goes. But Bastion art it's quite cool. And I like the term that Bastion is, I like the fact that Bastion is like a safe haven or a port, you know, a bastion of safety, a bastion of creativity. So that's got legs. I like where your head's at. When do you know? All right. The question that haunts many artists, destroys artists, creates artists, ruins artists. When do you know when a piece of art is finished? Oh my God. When do you know? Who's got an answer for that? Who can tell us? There must be some artists in the room. There's 58 people here. Someone must be an artist. I want to hear why you think or believe to know when a piece of art is finished. I know my way, but I know there's not an inherent one answer, or I don't believe there is. So someone give a better answer than my one. and I'll give you the big thumbs up, I agree, or thumbs down, oh my god, stupid comment, don't message again, why'd you say that? I wouldn't dare, I swear. Because there's always a way to upgrade. I feel like it's never complete. And actually, there's a lot of artists who hold that opinion, that feel like you don't ever really finish a piece, you just stop, or you move on to the next one. Now, that's definitely a valid view to hold. There's nothing saying that's not valid. I personally believe that there is, I think the difference between art's like a relationship with a piece of art. You form a connection and you have feelings with it. You love it or you hate it or you like it or you dislike it. But I feel like art breaks the usual constraints of a relationship, and that art can be static. And because art can be static, I believe it can be finished. And if it can be finished, if we take that as a premise and say, yes, it can be finished, now we're talking about how. How do we finish art? And usually, if we talk about something like goals, let's say goals, because goals are something that we all have in our own way for different things. Let's say, how do you achieve your goals? Well, first off, in that premise, you have to have a goal. So with art, you won't find the finish line if you don't create one for yourself. And like with this piece here, I want to capture sunflowers. I want to do it in my own unique way. I want it to be wild and crazy. I want it to be a message to my child, if it goes in the same room, that this world isn't all just white walls, straight lines, and conformity. That you can be different, crazy, and wild in that world. And so this needs to be different, crazy, wild, an expression of the way Seb paints, and it needs to be sunflowers. And once I get those 5 things, I'll stop. Because I'll know that I've achieved what this painting set out to do. But we're not there yet. It's not fully my style, it's not fully sunflowers, and there's more crazy to add into this piece yet. But we're doing good. It's closing in on the level of crazy that I want, but it's not there yet. It's closing in. But yeah, set the goalposts where the finish line is before you start, so then you know when you've reached it. If you don't have a finish point, of course the art will never be finished. But when you say, I want this piece of art to be a true expression of myself, or I want this piece of art to capture the character, to capture sadness, to capture happiness, to be joyful, to improve people's lives through the act of crazy paint, you can achieve those goals, you can reach those moments. So that's when art's truly finished for me. That's not the only answer. That's one answer from one artist. Yeah, look, see here. Glow paint. Glow paint. Yeah, I've used glow paint before. I don't really like it though. I don't like that luminescent glow in the dark paint. Some effects were unbelievably cool, but for me personally, it's not my style. I like this. And hey David, welcome on in. Here we go. Beautiful. There we go. Let's get a bit more in here. There we are. I had a guy on Instagram today, and he was like, your reels are boring. Keep making more live content. And I'm like, mate, all the reels are made from live content. You've just been missing them. They're on TikTok. And he's like, oh, okay. But he would be on Instagram. We sometimes go live on Instagram. Maybe you guys have been there for it. There's a few unique streams there. But the problem with Instagram for that is it gives everyone a notification. And it can be a little bit annoying for long-term fans because you're going through your Instagram and then all of a sudden it pops down on the feed. Seb Gower's live. And it's like, it's cool, but it's a little bit annoying after maybe 4 or 5 days. of me just showing up over and over again. You're like, okay, I get it. You go live. Can you stop notifying my phone? And hey, Steve, how we doing? How are we doing? There we go. That looks wonderful. And Matthew, your hair is so no D. It's falling out, I tell you that. It's not going to be here in a few more years. Every time I go to the shower, it's all through the little shower hole, just coming out. So, it's life. I've had 31 good years with it. It's time it moved on. And thanks, Michelle. I appreciate that. I like the way you spelled Michelle. That's interesting and fun. Cool. Speaking of that, hair just falling into my face right now. There we go. Beautiful. Ooh-wee. Big old flowers. My mum liked all these. Well, that's cool. I like it. I like it. And thanks, Jay. I appreciate that. Got a few little gifts set up there. If you enjoy the painting and you're having fun here, then you're welcome to flick over a gift. Otherwise, totally fine. You do you. There we go. A little bit of that and a little bit of this. It's actually a very, very cheap, affordable paintbrush, but it's handmade. Adds a bit more weight to it, and we can use it up close like this, play around, and then we can actually use it a bit further back. We want to get some strokes just up there a little bit higher. There we go. Sun's coming down. It is beating down. Beating down. Sunflowers. That is correctos. That is correctos. Making sunflowers. I'm going to swap over now. Flick the taco around the other way. Here's our messy little taco. So that little fold at the bottom there holds all the paint in. And now, I'm going to dabble with it to capture a few other with me for 1 second too. It's got too hot and spicy out here. We need to do some adjustments. Number 1 adjustment, and number 2 adjustment. I thought I was going to get away with it because it was a bit of a cloudier day. It turns out, no such luck. Okay. No, don't you blow my paint palette off the edge. Wipe it off my pants because they need a wash anyway. Alright. Let's supercharge this up a notch. Right. Little bits of white, little bits of black. Let's make these sunflowers appear. A little bit of white and a little bit of black. Back streets back. All right. Do 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 do. La ba da bee ba boo ba do. Black into the white. Give me the most boring color by fame. Number grey. God, grey gets a lot of a hard time around here. Sun's gone behind the cloud, don't need those. No good to me. Here we go. A little bit of that raw grey. Jumping in here. And in that background. Around through here. Oh, baby, please. Go. There we go. Just up in here too. There we are. There. Just up the top there. Ooh. Got some paint on me. Trying to be too fancy. Do I believe love is love? I believe that everyone feels love and can express it in the most amazing and incredible ways. And I think the biggest tragedy that ever occurred in life is for a lot of us to get convinced that maybe we didn't deserve true love. Maybe we didn't deserve to find it. I think the biggest trick that culture, society, social media, anything played on us is to make us feel like we didn't deserve to find a best friend, true love, these sorts of things. We feel like we can when we're younger. We expect it's going to happen, and then when it doesn't, years roll by, we start to believe that actually either that it doesn't exist or it does exist, but there's something inherently wrong or ugly with us. And that's dangerous, because if you could truly see yourself, strip back all the layers and truly see, you'd realize that you're not ugly. You're actually inherently beautiful. It's quite the opposite. No. I think you grow up and don't find out that Disney lied. I mean, I'm not sure what about Disney, but I think those tales, they're allowed to be real. They're just different. It's like the action movies. They're still superheroes. It's just sometimes a little bit more complicated. Still true love. It's just sometimes a little more messy. And that's okay. Can I upload it onto YouTube, please? Ah, that's a good question. Starting this painting. Does it exist? There's a few reels on it. did we start it on a reel, on a live? That's a great question. It's funny when you see it at this stage, you wouldn't believe the journey it's been on. It keeps looking different and changing. And that's similar to ourselves. If you judged this painting early in the piece, you would have said, nah, it doesn't have what it takes to be a masterpiece. And then all of a sudden, several layers down the road, we see it here, and you wouldn't say it's a masterpiece just yet, but you would say, maybe there's the ingredients to be a masterpiece. It's funny how our opinion can change like that. Quite quickly, actually. It can be altered and developed. And that's okay. You don't have to have the same opinion for your entire life. You're allowed to adjust it. Hey Zelo, how you doing? Okay, let's get a bit more of this in here. There we go. That's what I'm after. Flowers slowly becoming more defined. And that's a good question. Just a extendo paintbrush for a bit of fun. Oh. Yeah, that's correct. That is correct. I'm actually going to chuck some of this on too. Thought I wasn't going to need it, but I was wrong. Bug spray. Who's that there? S-Blazed? S-Blazed? I got my nostrils there a little bit. You're an individual. You deserve to live, be loved, and enjoy the life that you've been given. You are not at all. Wear some blue. Probably with the amount of reds we're chucking around here, and probably the amount of reds have been inspired by that painting, Phyllis Feathers. This does require probably a touch of blue. It's not bad thinking. And oh, cheers, Frey. Good to have you in here. We've got people from Malaysia here. We've got people from Thailand. We got a lot of the States. Some amazing places in the States. We've got Hawaii, Pennsylvania, Washington, New York. Crazy how everyone can be from so many different places. We can all just join here in this sort of a place and share a moment. Australia, North Carolina. So that's what I'm talking about. So right now, you're watching a stream in the middle of the North Island of New Zealand. So, long way away from home. Florida, Virginia, St. Louis, Missouri, Florida, New Zealand. We got a New Zealander. So there's 2 New Zealanders here at the moment. That's fun. It's Isn't it wonderful how that can happen? Quite seamless as well. Like if you think about a lot of the time when I call my family, you end up on a Google call or a Facebook call. Sometimes the connection's a little bit tough. But to actually be able to join in to this sort of environment, have a fairly seamless connection, share a moment, that's pretty cool. In my mind, that's pretty cool. Might start raining as well, team. Starts to rain, I'll dash inside, but right now, the day is ours. The day is ours. UK. You should be asleep. Yeah, we'll be going on about, you'll be about 1 a.m. there in the UK, won't you? I'm just guessing. 1 a.m? 1 a.m. It is amazing to live here in New Zealand. Amazing. Here we go. Beautiful. Let's get a bit more of this in here. Beautiful, wild, crazy sunflowers. Here we go. Mix in here. Whew. No shadows. In this picture? I mean, I guess not. There's a shadow on the ground. I'm casting a shadow. Does that count? Maybe there's shadows in the way these overlapping giant sunflowers sit on each other. Not getting too hung up on the realism of the work. We want to capture an impression of reality. More of a comment on reality than an actual, you must be this or you must be that. If we start thinking that it has to be something outside of our definition of what we set out to capture, we can limit it. We don't want to do that. Hello, Justin. Long time no see. The base could use some work. There's no shadows. It's not advice, it's a conversation. It sounds like advice. And the base could use some work. When you say the base, do you mean the masonite panel that we've put on? So on the base, we put down the masonite panel, sanded, rubbing alcohol, 3 layers of gesso, lightly sanded, bunch of paint, glass beads, more paint, and then a layer of acrylic primer, and then now more paint. I wouldn't say there needed to be more base. It's probably already too heavy as it is. We could argue that the base was no good, that I did a bad job, but I like it. So subjectively, I think we're fine. But I do like the feedback. If you want to know how he thinks, if I want to know how I think. It's an interesting comment coming up there. Who thinks? Who are we talking about? Who's the individual? How you think? I would absolutely love to know more about how you think. I think the only reason art exists is because different people think differently. If we all thought the same, art won't exist. And if AI does take over the world and all of us start thinking the same way, art will cease to exist, I believe. Because there's no commentary that we could connect or make that would help us to connect with other people more. It'll cease to exist. Alright. That's not the base you meant. Alright, well, you've got me confused, but I've done my best. So, I'll give myself a pat on the back for trying. And we'll just have to settle for the fact that the enigma base that Seb doesn't fully understand may never truly exist in this particular work. And although it may not be the work that contains the base that you like, it'll always be the work that makes Seb happy. And that in itself is a pretty special reason for it to exist. So we'll continue to exacerbate that reason. But it's a good way to bookkeep material use. Maybe you could do the same with less. Yeah, I suppose so. I think we're getting pretty caught up on process here, on craft-wise. I think it's great to bookkeep how much paint you're using. I typically do that on weight with a piece. But please, 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 once you're creating, you are creating. And get lost in that process. When we get too caught up in craft, in balancing numbers and figures, we can lose what makes a piece of art special. We don't want to do that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Do what with the reason? Okay, now you've got me confused, but there's clearly some amazing feedback coming through there. But you're too smart. It's beyond my comprehension. It'll be what it is. Here we go. Let's get this in here. Beautiful. Warming up that phase just a little bit. Just a little bit. Here we go. But no, this one here, the amount of paint on this is getting quite outrageous. For things like shipping overseas, you start to get to a point where it matters less about the size and more about the sheer weight of the medium that you've covered the paint with. Let me bring you up close so you can have a little look-see. Here we go. So up close you can see how truly chaotic and crazy all this paint is. So when I bring you back to here, you can see how it's coming together. It's coming together in its little wild own little nature. These crazy little sunflowers. But up close, it wants to be absolutely chaotic and loose. And then from that distance point, you want to see the flowers. And I think even in this session alone, those heads are starting to come out a little bit more, become more defined, and allow the actual flowers in the pot to be more of a centerpiece inside the artwork. It's taking time, but it's getting there. And it's it's a little bit crazy. A little bit crazy because it's so big as well. Let me flick back to the comments here. Thanks, Jasmine. And Lauren likes it. That's good. You can smell the paint. Yeah, that's why you do it outside. Do the paint outside. If you smell paint non-stop for the period of like 40 years, you're going to actually hurt yourself in the long term. Don't do that. Do not do that. It's not worth it. No painting is worth you giving up neurons in your frontal lobe. Never, ever, ever. There we go. Cheers, Jay. I appreciate that. And Bones. I hope too, in this environment, can you hear the birds? They're a wee way over that way, but they are here chirping. And that's pretty precious in and of itself. Let's get a bit more white in here. And cicadas, you should hear some cicadas. Just let me get the lid off this thing. Here we go. And then we're going to jump off the extendo stick and tone back into a smaller brush. A little more of that gel. We might even go as far. Bear with me while I do this naughty little trick. There we go. We'll drop that off, I think. And then on our new plate. I think this one here, give it a name. Yeah, this one's going to be called, or at least the soft name for it right now, the name I'm dabbling with, is All Artists Paint Flowers. And it's a little bit of a commentary on the fact that this is a very, very heavily done topic. Except it's my own unique little take. And when we say your own unique little take, if that's all that's left that's significant, the slightly, I don't think it is, but a narcissistic element to actually pursuing flowers, if it's been so well done, do I believe I can capture something different than all the other artists before me who've done the exact same subject matter? Am I that arrogant? Or do I think that actually it was never about the flowers and every artist did it in their own little way? Need to meditate on that. The point is, we're here doing flowers. So regardless of what the flowers have come into existence for, they now do exist. And our fundamental job is to make sure they exist as beautifully as my personal craft can let them. And that's why they got that crazy, crazy look to them. Like all my art does. So that's kind of fun. Love that as a name. There we go. What? It's get some more in here. Beautiful. Just little pockets. Let's get a bit more of that gel in here. Perfect. Start dabbling with that for a few of these parts. Just like that. There we go. Slight bit of transparency in the paint now as we rocket up these side pieces. Whee. How long have I been working on this piece? That's a great question. Maybe. On and off. It's hard to tell. If I knew the exact time, I swear I'd tell you, but I brought this piece out and put it away several times. The OGs can attest to that. They'll be like, yeah, we've seen this piece more than once. He brings it out, he puts it away, he brings it out again. We just don't know when this one's going to get finished. And that's part of the beauty behind it, that this one, probably more than a lot of the work, seems to give that it doesn't matter when it gets finished. It's more about just enjoying making it. That's the plan with it. Now, let's get rid of, if I can find it, definitely some of this. Voila, the blue. I want the blue. Here we are. Beautiful. And then, where'd that other thing go? There we go. Got it. Do I usually date my work? I prefer real people a lot of the times, but I guess if I feel the real emotional connection with a piece of artwork, I date it. I've never done it before, but I'm not going to write off the possibility. There's a lady who dates trees and a lady who dates fences. I've seen Vice articles on them. So like, I think it's possible. And tell you right now, I'm not inherently into the idea, but I'm willing to accept the possibility could possibly exist. Glad I'm not famous either, because you do that if you're someone like, all of a sudden articles are out. So-and-so said they'd date a piece of art. Like, technically yes, but no, you've misunderstood the point. Right, a lot of blue over here. There we go. Now I'm going to splice that with a bit of, what's up next? What's up next? Maybe just back into that, back into the white. Jumping on another plate. Here we are. Have I done a piece based on poetry? I reckon if you do a good enough job, I reckon every piece has its own little bit of poetry. We've done it based on songs, which I guess is the same thing. Enya, Return of Innocence. So I think depends. I think what you're asking there is, have you done expressionism? Have you made art through expression alone. The expression of poetry, or the expression of this or that. Have you done that? I think I have. But my art goes very crazy very fast. And if I don't have a tethering point, a subject matter for us both to communicate on, in this case these flowers, if these flowers didn't exist, where would we be? Lost in colour and strokes. And you'd be wondering what does any of it mean? But with the aligned purpose of capturing the subject matter, in this case the flowers, this gets us both on the same page. Oh. There we go. This gets us both on the same page. And allows us to connect on what the subject might be. Here we go. Beautiful. A lot of this colour here too, it's going to dry much, much more clearer. That's interesting, Marty. I mean, if you're talking about the crazy part, it is kinda. Some people can go, if they're less crazy, people who are more sane are actually better at making abstract art because they'll centre around their own sanity to make it. But if you're more insane, you try and do abstract art and it just goes absolutely chaotic. That's the reality of the situation. So it depends on how you are in your own mind, your own personality, your character, your mental health will encourage how you actually make art. And personally for me, like I say, I'm so crazy, chaotic and wild that I need that anchor. I must have an anchor. Something to bring me back to reality. Sometimes we go completely wild, sometimes. But reality's good, guys. Getting lost in reality is good. There we go. Beautiful. Trying to catch up here. I can see some Saskin thrown around the chat room. Just love, guys. Just love. At the end of the day, team, at the end of the day, the fact that we're all here while this picture's been made together means that in a small way, we've all taken part in the process. So, honestly, yeah, I do love it. I like a little bit of it, but in terms of being here, talking, it's hard to say that actually in some small way you didn't influence the process. But I wouldn't say, sometimes someone will remind me of the colour and we'll add it on in. In this painting's particular case, it's hard to say that mentioning a primary colour changed the world, but it might have. It might have. And I do love these spots of blues. And maybe you're to thank for that. So thank you. But definitely, sometimes the vibe inside the chat room changes the colour choices that I make. Sometimes, if we're having a bubbly, wild time, I run towards the pinks. If things are more casual and relaxed, I'll jump towards, or it depends whether I try and zing it up a little bit, or whether I think actually let's lean into this. Usually tranquility, this is predictable, but usually tranquility leads into greens. When the mood's very relaxed, I'll vibe towards a green colour. And then when things are really, really bubbly, sometimes into a yellow. Especially when we're talking more, I'll use more yellow because it's softer and easier, more malleable. But depends. Long story short, it depends. Here we are. We're gonna get a little bit more of this. Beautiful. Alright, next colour off the ranks. What are you going to be? Let's a little bit more of this one. And a bit more of this one. Beautiful. Okay, this is a delicate lime green. Splash this around a few little areas. Okay. There we are. Beautiful. Okay, let me stand back with you, team. Let's actually do a proper stand back. Come on back with me. We can back a wee way here. Okay. Let's have a look, see at that. We're in good shape. It's cheeky. It's cheeky and fun. We'll keep dabbling. But we're in a good spot. Okay. How do you define abstract? That's a big question. How do you define abstract? Abstract is defined by, if you imagine every other painting is a thing, abstract is defined by not a thing. So if you're painting a sheep, you call it an abstract sheep, which means the sheep's still relevant, but the abstract part is the not it. It's the abstraction, the away from. In some ways it helps you better understand the subjects. It takes you away from it initially, which gives you new perspectives on it. Abstraction's very, very important to get new perspectives on things. This, on the other hand, is less abstraction and more impressionism. Impressionism is through the rudimentary tools we have, the paint, the paintbrush. How does it affect how we try and demonstrate the reality in which we see? In the reality in which we see sunflowers. But here, they're not pristine like a photo. Why not? We're limited by the colours we have, the paintbrush, and the blade. And slowly as the texture builds up, it will get framed. And I've got some pretty cool ideas on how to do that, but we haven't fully locked that in yet. It'll likely be a pale wood frame that will actually only come out the tiniest little bit, so it'll seem almost like a lining, and then it'll go deeper. But that plan's still coming up. they will never last in that small pot. Well, the paint's archival, so they might. A frozen moment in time. Maybe the paint will just last a test of time. Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? Who knows? Right. A little bit more. This will be the last colour we add for the day. There we go. Beautiful. Backwards and forwards. We add the colour in, we take the colour out. We add the colour in, we take the colour out. Just layering up a storm. Although some parts get lost and they come back, little pockets still exist within the work. And that's kind of beautiful. That's that Easter egg approach. To be able to see through the paint into additional little layers and little areas, so it keeps being mischievous long after you've actually long after you've noticed its flowers. What more do you see from it? What more does it keep giving you? It's similar to Van Gogh's. The idea is we're doing sunflowers. Every artist does sunflowers. We're doing sunflowers. They're in the same position as Van Gogh's, certainly. Certainly. But at the end of the day, we just want to capture flowers in the way that, how, if we were up there capturing sunflowers, would they look? And these ones are starting to come off very, very uniquely Sid Gower style. That's what I'm after. That's what I want. I want something that's uniquely my style. These flowers to be captured in. So we keep dancing through these warm colours, into the pale colours, back to the warm colours, all over the show. Good way to be. But we are dancing. There's no doubt. There is no doubt. I think I might get one more little colour and dance around with it before we're done. Hey Rudy, how we doing? Here we go. Let's grab a bit of an interesting sidetrack here. Let's grab this one here. There we go. Deep, deep blue. Dirty blue into that yellow. Let's start dotting this around in a few little spots. See where this can take us. Little bits. It's amazing how powerful this colour is, the effect it has. Sorry for not talking, guys. This is quite
Oh, gotta eat.
a epic little spot
I'm
to be in.
excited.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Here we go. Devil with a bit more. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Here we are. Right, team, it's been a fantastic journey. I'm absolutely loving where we've got this piece to. This has been exhilarating. I need more colours in it. I thought I was going to be done today. I always think that, but it's wild. It's wild. I love where it's at. But I need more deep saturated blues, greens, oranges and reds, especially around these hearts where the sunflowers are sitting. But I like it. It's got the attitude I want, and now I want a bit more of that definition. That's where we're going to get to. Okay, team. Look after yourselves. Thank you very much. Appreciate you all being here, and I will see you next time. Wherever you are in the world, have a great day or a good. Oh yes, indeed. Birds are chirping up a storm, so I want to enjoy that, have a cup of tea, and lament on how we're going to do this frame. Cheers, guys. Bye now. Oh, LJ, I didn't see you in here earlier. Good to have you in here. Okay, guys. Bye.